Maybe I could get some ice net, but there's no one I can see. Just someone who says she can't be bothered with
Good evening and welcome back to Veiled Mysteries. Thank you for spending a little bit of your evening here with us tonight. Tonight, Taylor and I are covering the horrid crimes of Florida's handsome devil, Wade Wilson. The 32-year-old is on death row in Jacksonville for first-degree murder and was sentenced to 2 death sentences. The following crimes in this episode are grisly and may not be suitable for all audiences. As always, viewer discretion is advised. Episode 7 of Veiled Mysteries begins right now.
The following program contains conspiracies and true crime from around the state of Florida that may not be suitable for all audiences. All personal opinions featured in this episode should not be taken as factual evidence. As always, viewer discretion is advised.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us for this special episode of Veiled Mysteries. I'm here live with Taylor Edwards, Veiled Mysteries chief correspondent and legal analyst, to cover this crazy case. I think this is probably the craziest case we have this season, and I'm really looking forward to covering it with you, Taylor.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It definitely is crazy in the sense of, the murders are, as you said earlier, grisly, but it's more so what happened after the fact. and his following is what is really crazy about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this gentleman had received love letters in jail. He's received countless communications, but we're going to get into that. It's very crazy. So,
Yeah,
Taylor, I'll toss it over to you.
sure. So we'll do a little bit of his background. So Wade Wilson, um, he was adopted. That was a big point. A lot of times in trials where someone is adopted, they use that as kind of an excuse as to why a crime was committed, but not so much in this case. This more so, I'm just mentioning it for background knowledge. So his parents had him whenever they were 15 and 16 years old, and they placed him up for adoption. And his adoptive parents and their families described him as a happy, affectionate child during his early years. And by adolescence is whenever they noticed a dramatic behavioral change that they believed coincided with substance abuse and mental health struggles. So he, by all accounts, growing up, was a happy kid and didn't have really any complaints. No teachers or anything really said anything, or he wasn't in trouble a lot up until he got to early adolescence. And that's mainly because that's when he started experimenting with drugs. So his first encounters with law enforcement began in 2013. In 2013, he was sentenced to prison for burglary and grand theft and served about a year in prison. And then in 2015, he faced accusations of sexual battery and kidnapping, but he was acquitted by that jury. In 2016 to 2018, he became a jailhouse informant, and he reportedly provided information concerning a gentleman by the name of Brian Winchester, who was convicted in connection with the killing of Mike Williams, a man from Tallahassee who disappeared in 2000. And Wade Wilson he claims that he became aware of discussions involving the violence or murder for hire while he was living housed in prison with Winchester. And then in 2017 and 2018, right before the infamous murders that he was convicted to 2 counts of death penalties for, he was convicted with theft of firearms. So they kind of all center around getting arrested for theft, burglary, and then getting released. And then the cycle kind of continues, which was a big argument on the defense's side. But it was never kind of broken. And then another point to clarify is he is not technically a serial killer. That's a big point to make, because a lot of times we think of Wade Wilson, and really I think a lot of times we think about any individuals that kill more than once or they go on a killing spree, and we think of them as a serial killer. And in this case, he's not. He's considered a double murderer. He killed 2 victims during one continuous period on the same day. So there was no cooling off period, which normally with a serial killer, you see that cooling off period at least a little bit, and then they go back. So that's kind of all I have for like the initial background of Wade Wilson. Brandon, do you have anything?
Just while we are talking about him, I'm trying to pull up pictures of him. He is quite jarring looking.
Oh, yes, but jarring, and some may think he's handsome.
And I want to pull up a picture of him before he had all of his facial additives, I guess we could call it.
Yeah,
he was a decent looking guy for a little bit, and then he got scary. So let's take a look here.
While you pull that up, we can. So this is
Here's
him.
one. That's an early mugshot. And then this is later on, and then this is most recent. That was during his trial.
Yeah, that's during his trial. He is much heftier now.
Yes.
He's gotten a lot of commissary for some Doritos.
Yes.
Much heftier.
And I do want to note that for this podcast, we tried to actually contact him because he's one of the most contacted inmates in Florida, in the United States, probably. And he is no longer accepting correspondence. I think he was blocked from correspondence.
Oh, Sean said, if you ladies think that is handsome, you need to raise your standards. So, bringing that up, so why was he considered the handsome devil? One thing to note is he did not coin this phrase himself. He did not call himself this. Initially, he went by the Deadpool Killer strictly because his name was Wade Wilson. But he then started circulating around TikTok as the handsome devil. And a lot of it was the tattoos. And there were many videos that went around where it was mainly TikTok videos were being made where individuals were explaining every tattoo he had, why he got them, and when he got them, and like what they meant. However, a lot of the information was very heavily romanticized and completely wrong. He has not ever gone on and explained these tattoos. So that was one big thing. There was a community of women, they called themselves Wade's Wives, and they called themselves Wade's Wives, Mrs. Wilson, future Mrs. Wilson, and they sent him letters, photos, commissary money, and other correspondence. And then the big thing is a lot of women had the thought of, well, I can fix him.
Yes.
He's gone. There is no coming back from this.
One thing I do want to bring up, we know that he was adopted, and I know we'll get into it with the crime, but his father was the one that ended up turning him in at one point, right, Taylor?
I'm sorry. Yes, his father, his biological father.
Biological brother. And I'll try and find a clip of his dad somewhere that we can just show. But his dad is also crazy. And you can just tell that his dad is also insane.
Yeah. And they started talking fairly recently, before these murders occurred. They started talking again, but they really didn't have any sort of relationship with him growing up, and it wasn't anything of like a closed adoption. I'm sure it was closed strictly because of the ages of the parents, but it wasn't anything intentional. It's just they didn't have any communication, and then Wade Wilson found them and they started communicating. But his father is the one that turned him in because he spoke to his biological father, Stephen, I believe is his name, and told him what happened with the second murder from that day. Let's see in the chat. We have some chats. Sean says he does have good hair. He should be called the good hair devil. Yeah, see, Casey really enjoys him. Amanda said he is scary.
Oh, Amanda's here.
Amanda is here.
See if I can blow that up a little bit.
I will say one thing. So the Handsome Devil is the name of a documentary on Amazon Prime. Well, on Paramount Plus, but you can find it on Amazon Prime. And one thing that I found crazy was underneath of his eye, you can see in this photo, the swastika tattoo. And his defense attorney, his leading defense attorney, was appointed to him by the court. And he gave an interview and said that the first thing he said to Wade Wilson was, "I'm Jewish, is that going to be a problem for you?" And I just think that is crazy. But one big thing for the trial to note is right off the bat, the defense gave motions about his appearance and his appearance in court. I'm jumping back and forth in my notes here. Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah. So from the time he was initially arrested to his trial is whenever he got the majority of his facial tattoos. He did not have them, so the the stitching on his mouth, the swastikas, the skulls, and then a few others. So everything around his mouth, the swastikas, all of that happened while he was incarcerated. And from the time he was arrested to the time it went to trial was almost 5 years. And it's because it happened during COVID. This occurred in 2019, and he didn't go to trial until 2023 or 4. But it was because of COVID, and it was a capital case, which capital cases take longer. And so one motion that the defense argued was that his appearance would make the jurors have a preconceived notion that he was evil and would automatically write him off rather than hearing the arguments and then coming to their conclusions, which the judge did permit limited concealment of his tattoos, his facial tattoos, but you could still see them. And then at some point he just stopped covering them. He didn't care. So that was one argument the defense had, was that the jury wouldn't be able to just look at the facts of what happened and make their determination.
I do want to add, I'm just fixing it now. We do have our phone line open. It is scrolling down at the bottom. If you want to call in and share your thoughts while we're going through the case, it is 407-801-7204. I'm just taking care of that now. But if you would like to call in, send us your name and where you're from, and we will go ahead and give you a call.
Sean had asked a good question about what he did for a living, and he didn't have a job. He didn't have a stable job to note. I think he did odd jobs like here and there, but his girlfriend at the time owned her own like spa. So that he kind of just lived off of her.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think is so interesting about him is he's such a chronic liar. Obviously, one of his relationships he didn't even give the woman his real name.
Mm-hmm. He went by Steven, which is his middle name.
Yeah, he went by Steven, and he matched with her on Tinder or Bumble or something by the name of Steven while he was matching with other women with another profile with his actual name. Do you want to kind of go into like the first kind of like red flags that we had with him?
You mentioned his first girlfriend. Her name was Kelly Matthews. So they met through a dating app in late 2018. And initially she saw him as charming and someone with whom she could build a future with. And then she found out that it's my stool. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Brandon's, I have a creaking noise over here.
Sorry.
Kelly found out that Wade Wilson had stolen some of her items, such as her laptop and also a handgun, and he had sold the laptop. So I guess that was what his job was, stealing from these relationships and like reselling the products for money. But it's crazy because he was such a master manipulator that she went to the police about the firearm theft. He was arrested, and then she bailed him out, hoping that he would enter treatment for his drug addictions. So she sent him away, and then she bailed him out. And then February 18th, 2019, there was an argument between Wade Wilson and Kelly Matthews because Wilson wanted transportation to go down to the Florida Keys, and she refused and didn't want to drive him. And when that happened, he punched and strangled her, sexually assaulted her, restrained her using clothing, threatened to stab or kill her, took and stole her phone, forced her to accompany him during part of the trip, and she contacted law enforcement and gave an account of the alleged attack, and Wilson denied the allegations and was not convicted. So he was, but at the same time, I play devil's advocate, that's what I do on this show, but would she have bailed him out at that point also? Like, with the hope that he got whatever help he thought or she thought he may get? And then right after that, I just want to touch on one more brief relationship. I think it was down in the Florida Keys. I could be mistaken on, but
I think it was in the Florida Keys.
well, this is a relationship with, his name is Christopher Lane.
Oh, yes.
So this is a gentleman that worked in the carnival industry, and they met. Wade Wilson and Christopher Lane met and developed a relationship. And according to Lane, Wilson attacked him with a knife during what Christopher Lane viewed as a drug-related or psychotic episode, but he didn't report the incident to the police, and then that's kind of the last thing about that relationship that we hear about.
Mm-hmm.
All right, looks like we have our first call request.
We do have a call request from Sean from Texas. Let's go ahead and give Sean a call. There we go.
Oh,
Hello, Sean. Thanks
Sean.
for calling into Veiled Mysteries.
well, hello. So he was a he was a carny, or he had a friend that was a carny.
The boyfriend was a carny.
Oh, he was bi.
From this one singular relationship I can find, yes. Christopher Lane is the
So-
only relationship with a male that has been reported, and Christopher Lane worked in the carnival industry.
So, what did he? What was his educational background?
So
Did he not go to school?
no, he finished. He either finished or almost finished. Let me scroll through my notes. I thought I organized them in a way that made sense. So he graduated high school in 2012, and that's it. After that is his first arrest was in 2013. So pretty soon after he graduated high school was whenever he finally was arrested for a crime, and it was for burglary. But other than that,
So once he got out of school, he really didn't have any. He didn't have any stable employment. He didn't have
No.
a stable job.
no.
He was just a floater.
Yes, correct. So I do know his adoptive parents supported him. They supported him completely. And then once he started...
The adoptive parents supported him?
Correct, yes. And then once he
But
started
was he living at home?
Yes. And then once he started meeting women on dating apps or wherever, all of them state the relationship moved rather quickly. I wanted to move in immediately together, and he moved into wherever they were living.
So he was using women
Correct.
to try to get out of his parents' situation.
Correct, yeah.
And so what did they say his motives were for killing these women?
So nothing has ever been definitive. The defense argued that it was a psychotic break, drug-induced, because he took methamphetamine, and he had had multiple concussions. So that is what the defense argued. But other than that, he did have a run-in with his girlfriend at the time. It happened, which we haven't fully gotten into the murders yet, but it happened after the first murder, but before the second, where he went and met up with his girlfriend, Melissa Montanez, at the time, and he almost killed her. But she's the one that owned her own spa.
So do you think he was meeting up with these women because maybe the well was running dry with the woman that he was with, and he
No,
was trying to
these-
line up more prospects?
No, the two women that were the victims of these crimes were completely wrong place, wrong time. One of them, the first one,
They were-
Christine. So Christine actually met him at a club that he was at with his girlfriend, and he wanted to leave to go continue partying and find drugs, and his girlfriend Melissa did not want to go, so he took Melissa's car and left with Christine and her friend Stephanie to go get drugs, and then ended up killing Christine. And then he had another, the defense calls it a psychotic break, but another psychotic break after he almost kills Melissa after the first murder. And he simply runs into this other woman, Diane Ruiz, while she is walking to work, convinces her to get in the car, and kills her. So it simply was wrong place, wrong time. He wanted to keep partying that night, and his girlfriend did not, and so he took her car and left.
And so these women were basically wrong place at the wrong time.
Correct.
And you think that it was drug induced what caused him to go over the edge?
That's what the defense argues. I mean, I know he was on drugs.
I think he also had underlying mental health issues, but for sure the drugs were the deciding factor.
I know he was on drugs that night, but...
Well, I would think that everybody could tell he had underlying mental issues with the swastika on his face, unless there's a resurgent of the Nazi party somewhere.
Yeah. He got all of those as stick and pokes in a prison cell, so...
So so all the tattoos that he got on his face with the smiling and all of that came from
in prison.
That was just drug induced stuff that he had. He had all of that before he committed the murders.
No, he did not have the face tattoos prior to committing the murders.
So he got those in prison, or he got those?
No. He got the facial tattoos within the almost 5 years between him getting arrested and going to trial for the murders.
No, well, that makes sense, because I was wondering who would get in the car with somebody with a swastika tattooed on their face.
Yeah, no. No. He did not have those at the time.
Well, I'll let somebody else call in, but I would just like to say it would be beneficial if some of the women would share what their standards are, because if a guy with a swastika on his face and tattoos like that, if they're one of the chat messages was that he was a solid 8, I think the other men out there would like to know what the standards are, if they should start getting face tattoos in order to up their standing.
Well, they now have your questions, so maybe they'll answer you in the chat.
Yeah. Gentlemen watching, go ahead and answer down in the chat.
So, all right, well, we'll wait for somebody else to call in.
All right,
Thank you so
thanks,
much.
Sean.
All right,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.
That was good. We did get a couple comments. It looked like from text. Was there any history of juvenile violence or cruelty or animal cruelty?
No animal cruelty. That was one big thing to note. No animal cruelty. What else we got in here? I do believe someone asked about his Tinder bio, and I do believe that, I mean, obviously I cannot confirm nor deny, but whenever he went by the name of Steven to Kelly Matthews, his girlfriend at the time, from what she has stated, or I've seen that she stated, his bio did say Steven Wilson. It did not say Wade.
I do have body cam of, let's see. This is good here.
Copy, I'm 1012.
This is body cam of his arrest, I believe. Let's go ahead and see what this is.
Is there sound on it? I will say, his arrest was very calm. There was, well, the final
All right,
arrest,
man,
I'll say, was
I'm a
very,
nice guy. Okay.
nothing
All
big
right,
to
good.
note about
So-
it.
All right, I'm gonna put some new handcuffs on you. So if you do anything stupid, I'm gonna slam you on your
I look
face.
stupid? You
I
can
said
slam me in my face if you want to. I don't care. I'm not gonna do nothing
All right.
stupid, but you don't have to threaten me. Different
Thanks to
thing.
the fucking car, man.
Fuck you, man.
Fuck
I've been
you.
good all night. Fuck you,
Fuck
peppy
you,
ass
man.
bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck you, cocky ass fuck. I've been good to these people. You can tell them that, bro.
Just
Then you
relax.
want to tell me you're gonna threaten me on your face? I would slam you one-on-one, pussy boy.
Hey. Just relax.
And you know I would. You college graduated bitch.
Wait. So that settle down. Don't pull there.
I'm gonna throw you in your face. Why the fuck did you say me?
Wait.
I can do shit.
Also, pardon the language, it's not censored.
I'm doing my handcuffs fine. This bullshit, man.
There's too many cops right there.
I'm doing fucking bad, bro. You get on your family.
How'd you know, man? Your boyfriend's gonna know about it soon.
Fucking face that you want to take up on two face. That just doesn't sound good. It doesn't, but you know what? I do like that because you're a hoe.
Well, fix those guys.
It was just me and you.
Yeah.
Me and your people. Yeah. Hey, you talking to see, I read you.
Yeah.
I told you. Yeah, sometimes I don't want. See, you know, do. Put the time. Yeah. Put my man.
Yeah, at this point in the arrest, he didn't try to evade or anything. He just ran his mouth a lot.
Amanda said, crazy how in most professions, if you speak like that, you'd be fired. That's very true. Casey said, I really think I can fix it.
Well, and Hannah said that she thinks he is hot, but the murder drops his rating. There you go, Sean. You have your answers.
You got anything you're supposed to be sticking? Oh, okay. We're doing that game, huh?
You know what you are, so. Yeah, say let's do that. You said you were gonna do it. Do it.
Wait.
You said you were gonna do it. I would love to see it. I already lost my teeth. You can slam someone.
Are you waiting for something?
I think there is also him in like the actual car talking to the cop. Oh, we'll cut to this.
Yeah, it looks like he knows his way around.
Yeah. For a lack of better terms.
No one's really leading him.
Casey wants to know where you got your headband from.
Oh, actually, maybe Target? Possibly? That sounds about right. I've had it for many years now.
Do you want on or off? Okay. You can throw the shoes right here if you want.
Before we jump into this, Brandon, I want to talk about
What's up?
who the victims are.
Sure.
And then I need to get a statistic real quick. Someone asked how tall he was.
I want to say he was 6'3".
Wasn't in
Yeah,
my
I think he was
notes.
tall.
Yeah, I do know he was tall.
I want to say 6'3".
6'2".
6'2".
Almost. 6'2". So, let's see. What did Sean say? Great. Sean said, wow, an unemployed drug addict gets a better rating than a guy with a good, steady job. No wonder our country is going to hell in a handbasket. Gosh. That is crazy work. And then we have someone who really loves the Deadpool comparison. Okay, so before we go into the interview and all of that, I want to talk about who the victims were and then go through a little bit of a timeline of what occurred. So first victim we have is Christine Melton. She was 35 years old, lived alone in Cape Coral, Florida. Her friends described her as caring, intelligent, independent, generous, and someone who enjoyed going out with friends. She had no criminal history, and she had no known connection to Wade Wilson before meeting him that evening, and nothing indicated she had a reason to believe she was in any danger at all. Her autopsy results showed that she died from manual strangulation, and there were injuries on the back of her neck that were consistent with sustained compression. The next victim in the murders was Diane Ruiz. She was 43 years old, mother of two, engaged to be married, employed as a bartender, described as outgoing and friendly. She also had no connection to Wilson and was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time. Her autopsy is a little different. She also had manual strangulation, however, she did not die from those injuries. She survived the initial strangulation. That was followed by blunt force injuries consistent with being struck and run over by a vehicle, which she was run over by her car multiple times. That is one quote that surfaced a lot, and this was actually what got his biological father to turn around to the police and turn in his own child, was Wade Wilson called to describe what had happened, and whenever his father, or Stephen, we'll refer to him as Stephen, I guess, but whenever Stephen asked him whether she died when he strangled her, he said something along the lines of no, and then said he ran her over with his car, noticed she was still alive, and kept going back and forth until she looked like spaghetti. And that is, like, terrible. But that is a famous quote. And that is directly from his father. He said it on the stand. And that was what immediately got him and his wife to turn around and go to the authorities and turn in Wade Wilson. So on Sunday, October 6, 2019, Wilson spent a lot of the evening moving around Cape Coral. Witnesses later described him as restless, social, appearing to use drugs, attempting to meet women. Investigators believe methamphetamine use likely occurred during this period. He was with his girlfriend at the time. So he was not alone on the prowl by any means. He was with his girlfriend, Melissa. She did go by Mila, but they were together and they went to a bar called Buddha Live. And Buddha Live is the last public place, where Christine Melton was seen alive, and she was with her friend Stephanie Sailors. So witnesses that were there whenever he met Christine described Wade Wilson as friendly, charismatic, flirtatious, and confident, and nothing about his behavior caused any alarm. Christine reportedly talked with him inside of the bar for quite some time, and eventually the group, meaning him, her friend Stephanie Sailors, and Christine, left. They went back to Christine's house after leaving the bar. Wade Wilson drove them in Mila's car, his current girlfriend. He stole her car, drove him there. And Stephanie did not stay. She did initially go back to their house with them, but decided that she was going to go home. I believe she had children of her own, and so she was going home to either her family, her kids, whomever. And friends began looking for her because the next morning, they tried to contact her and she wasn't answering, which was unusual. Someone went to check on her, noticed her car was gone. Wade Wilson had stole her black Nissan, and her dead body was there. So that is what happened to Christine. She was manually strangled. There's not much that was said or shown about that. There was some footage of how they found her body. It was wrapped in a rug, and he had tried to pull it out of the house, but it was too heavy, so he left it. But then with Diane Ruiz, at some point on October 7th, so the next day, he encountered her. There's no evidence suggesting that she spent hours socializing with him. Their interaction appears to have been brief. She voluntarily, that's very important, voluntarily entered the car at some point before the attack, and her body was discovered in a rural area. And initially, they did not think the two crimes were together. They thought that they were completely unrelated, and the only thing that linked them was eventually they realized he was in Christine's car, and that was the vehicle that Diana Ruiz was in. But that is a background on them. There was no... It's not said that she was sexually assaulted, Suzanne. I think if anything did happen, they said it was consensual, because they did go back together. But I do not know. Nothing indicates that she was sexually assaulted. They haven't ever said that or anything. And then Jackie asked about Melissa or Mila, his girlfriend at the time, and whether or not he threatened or tried to kill her, and the answer is yes. So we will jump down and talk about kind of her timeline, because this is interesting, and then there is body cam footage I want to try to bring up. So
Is it the one of him in the car?
yes, and
Okay.
I believe there's
Let me see
also
if I can
body
find
cam footage of them responding to her initial call. So you can kind of see how beaten she is. So, like I said, Mila and Wade went to Boot Alive together during the night. She did not want to continue partying, and she stayed at Boot Alive whenever Wade Wilson left with Christine. And she did have a friend there. Her name was Amy, and she spent the night with Amy because she no longer had her car. So the next morning, this is after Christine has already been murdered. The next morning, Mila begins receiving repeated phone calls from Wade Wilson at her workplace, which she worked at Mila Spa in downtown Fort Myers. And Wade just kept wanting to know where she was at, and he wanted to meet her. And all she wanted to do was just get her car back. She had no idea anything else had happened with Christine. She didn't even know anything crazy had happened in general. So she agreed to meet him at Mila Spa, and it was arranged for her to get her car back. Wade arrived driving a black Nissan Versa, which was not her car, but she had no idea who it belonged to, and that it was Christine Melton's, and Christine was murdered.
Taylor, I do want to show, when we get there, I do have a jail call between his biological father and himself that we
beautiful.
can showcase as well. But it looks like I do have one of the body cams that you were looking for.
Yes. So once he shows up, Wilson attempts to force her into the Nissan, Mila, and she resisted. And whenever she resists, he grabs her arm, tries pulling her inside, tackles her, strikes her, slaps her, repeatedly chokes her. Witnesses testified they watched Wilson drag her toward the vehicle, and his grip was so forceful that it nearly tore the dress she was wearing. And she says a direct quote of, "There's nobody behind the eyes anymore." She recognized that he was behaving differently than she had ever seen, which, granted, she has seen him on drugs before because they had done drugs together before. But I guess it was different than that. But she did also say that she truly believed if he got her into that car, she would never be seen again. And she had known that people had already called 911, so she deliberately stalled, talked, argued, and tried to, take his mind like off of getting her in the car to try to survive. And at one point, the way she escaped was during the struggle, Wade Wilson punched her in the face, which caused her to bleed significantly. The blood distracted him. I don't think he was expecting that much blood to come out. And Melissa ducked and ran into a nearby business and waited until the police arrived. And then there is a parking lot confrontation between an officer and himself, which there is body cam footage of, and it's actually really interesting. So again, keep this in mind when we watch this. This is after he has killed Christine Melton, before he has killed Diane Ruiz.
And he's in Diane's car.
Christine's car.
Christine's car.
This is Christine's black Nissan.
I'll explain it to you when my partner gets here, okay? Yeah. About this morning.
It might be hard to understand, but we can hear what the police officer's saying.
Say again?
There's one where you can hear him.
Yeah, I can. But I'm just waiting for my partner to get here. Absolutely. Here's what's gonna happen. Is the car running? Shut the car off for me. It's off. I'm gonna detain you until I figure out what exactly is going on. Wait, you don't want any trouble from me because you're on probation, okay? Okay, that's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna have you step out of the car.
He's got those
and I'm
nutty
gonna
eyes.
Detain you. Not arrest. Detain you right now. Okay? And I can't have any problems. You understand me? All right. What's that? Bike by I'm at Joe's Crab Shack parking lot. I will. I give you my word. I have by our procedures. I have obtained.
So at this point, all they know is that he
The bad news
not sexually, he
wasn't any battery.
physically assaulted Mila. That's what the call that came in. That's all they know.
Is this when I don't know if this is in this clip.
Yeah, it's there. It's after he rolls the window up.
My partner gets you. L41 up for it. Don't go anywhere. Hey.
And then he simply just leaves. But again, they think it is just a domestic abuse case. And with that, they did not believe that there was any reason to make it a high pursuit chase. So they did not chase him after he left the Joe's Crab Shack.
Also, the cop should have pinned him in better there. Obviously,
He was the only cop. I mean, yeah.
Of course, they were on to him already. So,
Well, but they were only on to him for the domestic abuse. They didn't know about the murders.
I still think he should have been pinned in better
Well, I
there.
agree. I'm not saying anything else. But they did not know about any murders. They didn't know he was involved in any murders. So the whole thing is, would Diane Ruiz still be alive if they had done the police chase? If they had actively gone for him? Because right after he left here is whenever he went to find Diane Ruiz.
And then,
let me rephrase. He did not go find her.
Yeah.
This was whenever the chance encounter happened.
Yeah. After he had committed that crime, he had went to, was it a friend's place or a mutual friend? That business he went to?
That was Mila's spa.
Not the spa. It was after the spa.
Oh, I think he drove back. It was one of the nearby businesses.
Because I have that body cam here as well.
Yes.
We can slide through that a little bit and see.
Wade Stephen Wilson, that's the guy's name.
Okay.
You guys got him?
We do not have him.
So,
Sarge! Did you hear that? Did you hear that? FMPD is requesting us check on her. FMPD just called our station and wants us to check on the girl who owns this car. So that's the Nissan. He ditched the Nissan. There is a blood drip on the grill of the car. This is after Diane Ruiz. There's blood all right here on the door. I can see it. Yep, all over the seat. There's blood in here.
Oh, he abandoned the car there. Okay.
Yes. Who? Which one?
I don't know. I have no idea. It has nothing to do with me.
Oh. Hi. Come here and talk to me. Come here and talk to me.
That dude right there. The video here. I know where it's at. Can you go around to the other side of the line?
You don't know where that guy went? Does he work
I
here?
love a good body cam.
Yeah, Brandon does love a body cam.
I love body cam.
Calling that's 233, traffic reference signal 37, 2309, Hancock Bridge Parkway, Ellis 13.
Does that car come back? Anything, Cape?
So what happened?
Sarge.
But it's gonna be a black Nissan Versa.
Hannah, you're doing great. You don't need to call in. Don't let Sean bully you.
People in the back that are saying he's walking around somewhere either in the business or business fencing area. 26, we just want to try to locate him.
But yeah, but this is how they connect the two murders.
He's got tattoos, he's muscular. It came out. We have an actual victim. We do have a Nissan in the back fenced-in area over here.
See if we can skip through a little bit of this here. To get into the car here.
It looks like it could be blood. I don't know.
That could be. Make sure you got it.
It's a little I love the chortling.
Lots of chortling. The police are very relaxed. This is South
crazy
Florida.
Investigation.
South Florida is very relaxed.
So is MCU gonna come out? Is MCU gonna come out, or what are?
We've had enough of that. I have a jail call after he was arrested with his father, his biological father.
That is a good one, yes.
We will watch a couple of minutes of this as well.
Hannah, if you text the number scrolling on the bottom of the screen and just tell us your name and where you're from, we'll call you.
You okay? Yeah, not really. I found out how they found me. Right. Huh? What happened? No, I'm saying I found out how they found me when they arrested me. Right. They said you. They said they found me because you. What did they say? They said you called them. Yeah. Did you? What do you think? Yeah. 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 All right. How do you feel about that? Yeah. Yeah. I do too. Yeah. You understand that? Why? Because why would you want me here? You know I'm going to be here. Wait, son, listen to me. Listen to me. I waited as long as I waited to come see you for a reason. Yeah. Because I needed your mind to clear out. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love you more than anything on this fucking earth. Yeah. And I'm going to be honest with you, son. You broke my heart. Yeah. When I say that, yeah, I don't mean that to make you feel like shit. But I say that to you because, you know, you came from me. Yeah. And I feel like you know, I've been fighting for you for years. You know, get your shit together. You know, you do the right thing. You know, and now I feel like that's taken away again. Okay? And we both know that it's gone. Yeah. Okay? Yeah. So, yeah, there's, okay.
I will say it's very interesting his demeanor while he's on the phone with his dad is very like
Right. It's another thing to lose your pocket money. Yeah, okay.
almost
You lost it.
almost like
You
childlike.
lost your mind.
Like
Listen,
he's gotten in trouble.
Yeah.
Like he's not defensive to his dad. He's not yelling at his dad.
To know
Right.
what happened.
Um,
And I know you.
it's a good video if you wanted to watch the rest of it. Just grab a snippet of it. Looks like we have a looks like Hannah wants to call in, so we'll go ahead and call Hannah and hear Hannah's thoughts.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, I just had a couple questions.
Yeah.
So you said he was adopted.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know anything about his biological parents?
The only thing we know about them is that they had him whenever they were 15 and 16 years old, and then immediately placed him up for
Okay.
adoption.
And I don't know if you mentioned this earlier. I've kind of been in and out because I'm trying to put Ava down.
Mhm.
But did he have like a difficult childhood with his adoptive parents, or any other sort of school difficulties,
Nope.
learning disabilities?
Not until he got into adolescence and they noticed behavioral changes that coincided with substance abuse and some mental health struggles. But prior to that, he was described by like all of the family as being happy and affectionate.
Okay. Because it's curious because typically with this sort of thing, they can be genetically predisposed to have a mental health diagnosis, like from his biological parents. And, you know, obviously he wouldn't know that because he didn't know them. Or it could be environmental, so like how he was raised, or it could be both, like he's genetically predisposed, but then an environmental trigger could bring it out to the forefront. So I'm just, that part kind of intrigues me, the psychological part.
I think that it more so was it got to the point in adolescence, and I think it's around like early high school, he simply just started running with the wrong crowd and doing drugs. But prior to that, there wasn't anything noted, because that was also my first thought. And a lot of times in cases like this, the defense will use like that argument to make like an excuse for why someone is acting that way, and like use the adoptive parents and like their testimony against them, and they did not. They went like the complete opposite.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And he must have just like a deeply rooted hatred for women, I guess, because it just seems like the crimes were so violent, had so much hate.
Yeah, and I mean, he was on drugs, so they were drug induced, but anything else like psychotic wise that was going through his mind that like might have caused a psychotic break, I don't know. But that does make sense to me, just because the crimes escalated rather rapidly from burglary and theft to manual strangulation and running someone over. Because he had never... I mean,
I guess...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, you go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, aside from, like, the few instances of, like, domestic abuse that were reported, there wasn't anything violent towards anyone before this.
And I guess that's entirely possible. I mean, I've seen clients that have had drug-induced psychotic breaks, and they do things that they never would have imagined doing. I guess drugs really do kind of mess you up. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I just want to say, like, two things can be true at once. You can think someone's hot, but also acknowledge that they're psychotic. It doesn't mean we're twisted.
Good point. Yeah. Put Sean in his place, please.
Okay, well, that's all I had to really say. But
cool.
Thanks.
Thank you
for
so
your
much,
input,
Hannah.
Bye.
Bye. The only other few things left, really, because I mean, we've talked about what happened, our victims leading up to it, all of that. A few more things I want to like kind of point out. Obviously, we all know he was convicted, but so normally we have jury trials whenever that happens. It doesn't always happen, but in a case like this, there will be a jury trial. But what makes this different is that it was a capital jury. It wasn't just the jury trial you are probably used to or know about, where you get your summons in the mail, you go to the courthouse, and you see whether or not you go in, listen to everything, you're guilty or you're not guilty. With a capital jury case, the jury has to answer two questions. One, did Wade Wilson commit these crimes? And that is where the prosecution has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did indeed kill these two women, and like for their reasoning. The second question is, if yes, should he receive the death penalty or life imprisonment? And so both sides, the defense and the prosecution, both really tried to find jurors that they believed would consider the law fairly and wouldn't look at his appearance and make deductions or just immediately think one way or another. And it's also very hard with cases like this, especially whenever there's so many years in between, because the whole point of a jury trial is to have an impartial jury, to be convicted by your peers impartially. But with the rise of TikTok and social media and so long in between where people are romanticizing him, it got to the point where everything became about Wade Wilson and not about Christine and Diane. The victims kind of fell off, and it went to, I can fix him. He's attractive. Look at this. He got this tattoo. I've talked to him. I write him letters. Like, it all became about him and this romanticization about him than the crime itself. So trying to find a jury that will truly be impartial is very difficult, and I'm honestly surprised that they didn't file for jurisdiction to get it out of the Florida jurisdiction. I'm very shocked about that. But the people who were in the courtroom found observations regarding Wade Wilson during the trial, and they all commented that he rarely showed visible emotion. He often sat expressionless. He occasionally looked toward the witnesses, and he maintained a calm composure throughout much of the proceedings. So that picture Brandon keeps putting up of him and his face tattoos, that is how he looked pretty much during the whole trial, sitting there. Just like calm. Never got angry, never did anything. He also did not take the stand in his own trial. That is, you have that right whenever you're being charged, and he did not, which I think was probably smart. Another thing to note, though, is that the defense never tried to say that he did not commit these crimes. That's not what their plan of action was. Their plan of action was, why did he act that way? So they tried to argue, their central like theme of their whole argument was that this is not the behavior of a rational, healthy person. But then the prosecution threw it back and talked to their expert witnesses on his psychology of, well, if someone else acts like this, does that mean they're going to go kill 2 people? And the answer is no. Not always. It's possible. Anything's possible. But no. And so that's where it got kind of tricky, but they never claimed that the methamphetamine legally excused the murder. That just simply was an argument of this contributed to how he was thinking and acting during that day. So he was eventually found guilty on 2 counts of first-degree murder, grand theft of a motor vehicle, burglary, battery, petty theft. And then it goes into the penalty phase. So we already know he's guilty. And now it's time for the jury to determine whether or not he is going to do the death penalty. So with that, in the state of Florida, so at that time, the law was a little bit different. But in the state of Florida, the prosecution now has the burden of giving aggravating factors to prove that he deserves the death penalty. So they had 4 total aggravating factors. The first was that there were multiple murders, killed 2 people, which increased the seriousness of the case. Aggravator number 2 was murder during other felonies, the theft, and attempted kidnapping for Diane Ruiz. The third is, it's called the HAC aggravator, especially heinous, atrocious, or cruel. And those are reserved for murders that involve exceptional cruelty. So that was used, and they emphasized that both victims experienced manual strangulation. The strangulation generally causes prolonged suffering before unconsciousness. Diane survived the initial attack and then was struck repeatedly by the vehicle. And then finally, the 4th aggravator is known as the CCP, cold, calculated, premeditated. And while the state argued that the murders were deliberate and premeditated, CCP is a very specific statutory aggravator with a demanding legal standard. But with that, it was not the centerpiece of their sentencing decisions. It was just simply an additional aggravator to help prove that he deserved the death penalty. The jury did recommend the death penalty, and under Florida law in effect at the time, the jury had to make specific findings regarding both the aggravating factors that the prosecution gave and recommending the death penalty by the required supermajority before the judge could impose a death sentence. So basically, the jury recommends, yes, we recommend he deserves the death penalty, but then the judge himself has to go and sit and do his own research and go back through all of those aggravating factors, and then he is the one that will say, I sentence you to death. But he still gets the same automatic appeals. Any death penalty, you automatically get an appeal. So that's kind of Wade Wilson. That's kind of his crazy, almost hour-and-a-half episode of literally less than 48 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's really scary. I don't know. I understand at one point he might have been handsome. He's very scary to me. I think even his crimes make him even scarier. Obviously, there's a lot of drug abuse. Obviously, there's a lot of mental illness going on here. Did you, in your research, Taylor, did you ever find anything about like him being an incel or anything? Because like these crimes were like very targeted towards women. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if he wasn't caught, it would have continued for like women being the victims as well. I
truly think definitely domestic abuse, yes. But I think the murders, they were not premeditated. I think the murders were part of a drug-induced psychotic break. But you also have to think he also did have a boyfriend at one point that he threatened with a knife.
That is also true, yeah.
But no, there's nothing regarding incel.
Gotcha. Any final thoughts, Taylor?
No, just that he is truly psychotic. I do wish we were able to talk to him. Brandon knows I'll be the first one to show up to a jail cell.
We are working on one for season 3 already.
We are. I'm very excited. But yeah, I'm the first one to show up anywhere that I'm allowed to speak to someone. But no, I mean, it's unfortunate. I do. They were very brutal crimes. Diane Ruiz, especially, her son stood up and gave a victim impact statement, and he sat through every day of that trial and listened to what happened to his mother, and had to keep listening to if the police caught him at that Joe's Crab Shack on the domestic abuse, would she still be alive today? And the answer is probably. At least in the attack he gave.
Yeah. Very scary stuff. Of course, there is a little bit more here if you wanted to see more of those jail calls, if you wanted to see more of that body cam. It is all available online through public records, and it is on YouTube if anyone wants to explore that further. We did just kind of touch on just a little bit of that. There is much more footage out there that you're able to find. So thank you, Taylor, for covering this with me. And you know, this is kind of our last episode of the series before we do our season finale, which we'll talk about in a moment. But thank you, Taylor, so much for being here.
Perfect. Thank you. I had fun. Thank us. Oh God, stroke. Thanks everyone for calling in. Thanks for your chats, your comments. We always enjoy seeing them and the fun that is had in the chats. So
yeah, this was a very lively chat today.
It was a lot of fun.
And thank you so much for spending a little bit of your evening here with us tonight. Like I said, this is our final episode of the series, or for season 2, for our standard programming of season 2. And starting August 10th, our 3-part series finale kicks off. The Gabby Petito story sent shockwaves across the country when she was reported missing in late 2021. Gabby and her husband, Brian Laundrie, documented their lives while traveling together across the United States and living in a van. When Gabby went missing, so did Brian, and the labyrinth of secrets that unraveled from there left even more questions for the following case. Veiled Mysteries chief correspondent and legal analyst Taylor Edwards will join me in this unforgettable retelling of the Gabby Petito story.
Gabby Petito never goes outside.
Overnight, a flood of protesters as police arrived at the family home of Brian Laundrie in North Port, Florida, the fiancé of 22-year-old Gabby Petito.
I think our plan for today is to just hang out here in the tent. Brian's stretching, doing some morning yoga.
The FBI saying a body was found in Wyoming, consistent with the description of the missing 22-year-old.
Part 1 of the Gabby Petito story will air right here on YouTube on August 10th, 2026 at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We look forward to seeing you then. Veiled Mysteries is live every Monday at 8 p.m. in the East, 7 p.m. in the Mid-Region, and 6 p.m. on the West. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Veiled Mysteries Pod for updates and to stay in touch. If you have a true crime case or conspiracy theory you'd like to see us cover, feel free to email or message me at veiledmysterytips@gmail.com. As always, ask questions, stay curious, and be informed. I'm Brandon Ward. Have a good night.